Hey guys, I wanted to make a video about telling time to the minute. We started this week by reviewing telling time to the hour and telling time to the half hour. Then we moved on to telling time to 5 minute increments, but now we're ready to move on to telling time to the minute. That way you're able to tell time no matter what the hands on the clock say. And yes, we can all tell time using a digital clock like what we're typing on, but we want to make sure that you can tell time using an analog clock too. So when you're looking at a clock, you always want to start looking at the hour hand, which is the shorter hand. And if I look at this hour hand, it's in between the 8 and the 9. But you always wrap back to the hour because even though it's in between the 8 and the 9, it's not yet 9 o'clock. It's still 8 something. So I'm going to go down to my digital clock down here, and I'm going to go ahead and put my hour in. It's 8 something. So now I'm going to look at the minute hand. And if I look at my minute hand, the longer hand, it's pointing to this little tick mark right here. Now I have this slide over here that helps you remember what the benchmarks are. The big numbers, they all mean something. They go by increments of 5. Use those benchmarks to help you tell time. But right now I'm in between the 12, which is the o'clock, the 00, and the 1, which is 05. I'm not yet to 05. So I have to count the individual tick marks. So I'm going to go 01, 02, 03. Mine's pointing to 03. So it is 8:03. That is what time this clock says is 8:03. And we're able to tell that by looking at the hour hand, the short hand, and the minute hand. Let's try another one. All right, so once again, you look at the hour hand first, the short hand, and it's in between the 3 and the 4. And even though it's closer to the 4, if you look at your minute hand, it is not yet to the 12, to the o'clock. So we wrap this back to 3. It's still 3 something. So I'm going to type that in, 3 something. Now I'm looking at my minute hand, and it's right here on this little tick mark. So I'm going to count around. I'm going to use my benchmarks, my bigger numbers, to help me count, to help me figure out what time it is. So remember, 1 is 05, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55 is the 11, 55. But now I have to count the individual tick marks because it's not pointing at the 11. It's a little bit past the 11. So once again, the 11 is 55. So now I have to count it by ones. So 55, 56, 57, 58. So my minute hand is pointing to 58. So my time is 3:58. And we're going to slide over and do one more. Let me move this over. And these are the practice problems from yesterday's slide. We're going to have a few more for today's slide, but I just wanted to make sure that we were all able to tell the time on a analog clock and completely understand it. So if you have any questions, you still need to reach out to me. But I want to make sure that you are doing this correctly because there was a little bit of confusion on the hands. Some of you were flip-flopping them and doing the minute hand first. And so I just wanted to make sure that you guys are doing this correctly and getting your problems correct so that you can tell time no matter what type of clock you're looking at. So for this last one, my hour hand is the short hand. You always look at that one first. It's in between the 5 and the 6, but we know to wrap back. So it is 5 something. 5. Now I'm going to look at my minute hand. It's pointing to this tick mark right here. So I'm going to use my benchmarks. Remember, counting up by 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20. Then I have to count it by 1s. So this is 20, 21, 22. So it is 5, 22. So make sure whenever you're doing this, you always look at the small hand first, which is the hour hand, and then the minute hand. We're trying to make sure that we can tell time to any minute, any time. So you have to make sure that you use those benchmarks and count each individual tick. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I miss you guys. Bye.